Greetings, 6th grade parents and students. Mr. Korn here. We're going to talk about positive and negative rational numbers today. The last unit that the 6th graders finished up was about integers, which were simply positive and negative numbers, but we stuck to just the whole numbers in that unit. Now we're going to extend our thinking into positive and negative rational numbers. And a rational number is another word for just saying simply fractions and decimals. Okay? The learning that we're going to encounter comes from textbook pages 47 to 66. So if you're looking for practice problems, practice lessons, and ways to help your student and study, look on those pages. Alright? So here are some of the important skills we're going to talk about. Please, like I said last time, excuse my shakiness or any poor video production. And also, I'm going to condense these videos into shorter videos now, so I'm going to just focus on one skill or topic per video. The first topic we're going to talk about is writing numbers as fractions. How do we write all numbers as fractions? Okay? We're going to talk about how to write whole numbers as fractions, and then how to write decimals as fractions. But we got to write all numbers as fractions, so let's first take a whole number, such as the number 3. The number 3 can be written as a fraction by doing the following method. Take the number that's already there, put a fraction bar underneath of it, and then make the denominator 1. This is a way of writing the number 3 as a fraction. 3 becomes 3 over 1. It's the same value, the same number, and it has the same place on the number line. It's just another way of writing it. You can do this with any whole number, so let's take the number 10. The number 10 in fraction form becomes 10 over 1. Let's take a big number, such as 10,252. Turn it into a fraction by putting a fraction bar and the denominator of 1. 10,252 over 1. Same number, same value, same place on the number line. It's just in fraction form. It just looks a little different. Let's look over here and talk about negative numbers, because negative numbers use the same method. Let's say you have a number such as negative 7. Well, same process. Fraction bar, 1. Negative 7 over 1. It's the same exact value as negative 7. Same place on the number line. It's just another way of writing it. So any number, no matter how large or small, positive or negative alike, can all be written as a fraction by putting the fraction bar and the number 1. Okay, let's move on to talk about the decimals. Bear with me here while I adjust the camera slightly. Alright, I have a couple decimals written down here. I have the decimal 0.2, the decimal number 2.4, 0.03, and 0.23. Let's look at how to turn those into fractions. This here is the decimal place value chart. This will be the most handy tool towards turning any decimal into a fraction. Okay? This is the same place value chart that students have used since about maybe, 2nd or 3rd grade. I don't remember. Either way, it works the same way. It has your place values, your hundreds, your tens, your ones. Then it has your decimal point and your decimal numbers, your tenths, your hundredths, and your thousandths. Keep in mind that your tenth is the same thing as like a dime. People like to think of a tenth as a dime. 1/10. Okay, a piece that represents a tenth of a whole. A hundredth could be thought of as a penny. 1 over 100. 1/100th. And your thousandth can be thought of course there's no coin for a thousandth, but 1/1000th. Okay, so here's all your whole numbers. Your 100, your 10, your 1, and here's all your numbers smaller than 1. Okay, let's look at how to turn these decimal numbers into fractions now. So first what you do is you got to put the decimal into the place value chart. And The key to this, and a lot of students, need to be careful of this, is they need to make sure the decimal point is aligned with the decimal point in the chart. So I'm going to just drag this over here, and when I write it in, the 0 goes in the ones place, the decimal point aligns with the decimal point, and you'll notice the 2 lands in the tenths place. This can be written very simply. 2 tenths. So that means we have 2 1/10s, 1 over 10s. Almost the same as having 2 dimes. So we have 2 tenths. I get this numerator of 2 from the number 2 in the tenths place, and of course I get the denominator of 10 from the fact that it is in the tenths place. This can be thought of as 2 dimes, which is also equal to 20 cents. This could also be written in expanded form as 1/10 plus another 1/10. 2 things in the 1/10 column. And if you think about it, if you have 1 dime and get another dime, you have 2 dimes, 2 tenths. This isn't needed as much for the 6th graders, but they will need to know that when you see 2 tenths, it can be written as 2 tenths. And here's the reason why. Because of the position of the number in the place value chart. Okay, let's try another one. Let's look at 2.4. Simply align the decimal to the place value chart and make sure all the numbers fall in the right spot. So if my decimal point's in the right spot and I write the numbers in order, they will also align. So here I have 2 ones, 2 whole numbers. I have my decimal point, and then this time I have 4 tenths. It can be written as a fraction like so. 2 wholes, 2 ones, and 4 1/10ths. I could write 1/10 plus 1/10 plus 1/10 plus 1/10, but it'll just give me 4 tenths. So 2.4 can be written as 2 and 4 tenths. This is called a mixed number, where there's a whole number and a fraction together. There will be a separate video on how to change mixed numbers into improper fractions and then back to mixed numbers. So look out for that video. But for right now, just look in the place value chart and understand that 2 in the ones place relates to a whole number of 2, and 4 in the tenths place relates to 4 tenths. And this is how you change the decimal 2.4 into a fraction, 2 and 4 tenths. Okay, let's try another. If you ever have any questions on anything I cover in these videos or anything at all that we study, please reach out to me via email or telephone, extension 213. Okay? Let's talk about this number here, 0.03. Okay? Put that in our place value chart. And we'll see that we have 0 in the ones place. The decimal point lines up. 0 in the tenths, and 3 in the hundredths. 3 1/100ths can be written in fraction form as follows. 1 100th plus 1 100th plus 1 100th, and that equals a total of 3 100ths. You can think of it like 3 pennies, 3 100 pieces. So the 3 in the hundredths place is what gives me the 3 100ths. The same way the 2 in the tenths place gave me 2 tenths, the 3 in the hundredths place gives me 3 100ths. And here's why. Okay? Let's try the last one. The last number we have is 0.23. Move it into our place value chart. Let me space that out a little. 0.23. It's in the place value chart properly. There's a 0 in the ones place, no whole numbers. There's a decimal point. There's 2/10 and 3/100. So the students, if they have money sense, can think of this as 23 cents, which means they either have 2 dimes and 3 pennies, or they have 23 pennies. So this fraction can actually, or this decimal can actually be written 2 ways as a fraction. One way is just by looking at the 20, the 2 and the 3, and seeing that the last place value it stops at is the hundredths place. So we can say 23, and since this is where it ends, 23 hundredths, which looks like this. 23 100ths. 23 is where I get the numerator, and the denominator, hundredths, gets from the fact that this decimal, when I put it properly in the place value chart, ends at the 1/100ths place. So 23 hundredths. But we can also write it as 2/10 and 3/100ths. So this could be written as 2/10 plus 3/100ths. That's a terrible looking 3, but it's a 3. 3/100ths. So 2/10 plus 3/100ths, if you add these together, and I'll do a separate video on fraction addition. This is a 5th grade concept. Your student may remember it, may not. We'll do a brief review about it, but I'll make another video on fraction addition. Either way, 2/10 plus 3/100ths equals 23/100ths. 23/100ths. 2/10, 3/100ths. Alright? So, again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm going to show you a page from the textbook now. This is page 48. So, it has a couple examples, and I want you to write it as a fraction. This is a mixed number, 3 2/5. Technically, it's already written in fraction form. But, if you change it into an improper fraction, it becomes 17/5. 3 wholes and 2/5 is the same as 17/5. I'll do a separate video on converting mixed numbers to improper fractions. Here's 6/10. 0 ones and 6/10, just like we practiced. Here's the whole number 34. So just put 34 over 1. And here's the number -7. It becomes -7 over 1. Then, if you don't mind, I'm going to adjust the camera real quick. And there's a couple practice problems on that page. And it says, write each rational number as a over b, which just means as a fraction, a number over a number. So -15, of course, becomes -15 over 1. Number 4, 0.31. 0 and 3/10 plus 1/100th, add them together, and you get 31 hundredths. 31 over 100. There it is. It's as a fraction. Any fraction, you can think about possibly simplifying it, but that's another lesson. 62, the whole number, becomes 62 over 1. Okay? And 4 and 5/9, well, that has to turn into a improper fraction, which I will do in a separate video. But it becomes 41 over 9. And I'll explain why in another video. Okay, that's it for this video on turning numbers into fractions. I will post another video of the other topics that are important to this unit. Thank you and have a good day.